I call this meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 88 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Natural Resources, pursuant to the order of reference of Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, and the adopted motion of Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. The committee is resuming the clause-by-clause consideration of Bill C-49, an act to amend the Canada, Newfoundland, and Labrador Atlantic Accord Implementation Act and the Canada-Nova Scotia Offshore Petroleum Resources Accord Implementation Act, and to make consequential amendments to other acts. Since today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format, I would like to make a few comments for the benefit of members and witnesses. Please wait until I recognize you by name before speaking. For those participating by video conference, click on the microphone icon to activate your mic, and please mute yourself when you are not speaking. Interpretation for those on Zoom, you have the choice at the bottom of your screen of either floor, English, or French. For those in the room, you can use the earpiece and select the desired channel. Although this room is equipped with a powerful audio system, feedback events can occur. These can be extremely harmful to interpreters and cause serious injuries. The most common cause of sound feedback is an earpiece worn too close to a microphone. We therefore ask all participants to exercise a high degree of caution when handling the earpieces, especially when your microphone or your neighbor's microphone is turned on. In order to prevent incidents and safeguard the hearing health of interpreters, I invite participants to ensure that they speak into the microphone into which their headset is plugged in, to avoid manipulating the earbuds by placing them on the table away from the microphone when they are not in use. A reminder that all comments should be addressed through the chair. Additionally, screenshots or taking photos of your screen is not permitted. In accordance with our routine motion, I'm informing the committee that all remote participants have completed the required connection tests in advance of this meeting. With us today to answer your questions from the Department of Justice, Jean-Francois Roman, Legal Counsel from the Department of Natural Resources, Annette Tobin, Director, Lauren Knowles, Deputy Director, Cheryl McNeil, Deputy Director by video conference, Danielle Morin, Senior Legislative and Policy Advisor, Renewable and Electrical Energy Division, as well as the legislative clerks from the House of Commons, Dancela Boy and Emily Thivierge. Okay, now we will proceed to the clause-by-clause consideration, resuming debate on Clause 38, BQ 11. Monsieur, some point of order?
Yeah.
Point of order by Ms. Stubbs.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair, for the introduction, and for everybody and all the officials for being here. Nice to see you all, colleagues. I just want to quickly move a motion before we get started pertaining to government estimates.
I'm just going to ask you to hold. We cannot move a motion on a point of order. Once you do get the floor, though, you will be able to move your motion. So if you can wait until you have an opportunity to get the floor, but not through a point of order. Okay. You have a point of order as well, Mr. Patzer?
No, I'm good. Sorry, I'm good.
Okay. Sorry. So we're on BQ 11, and I will turn on a point of order.
No, she wants to
speak
to,
I'd like to be on the speaking list, as you just said.
Okay, so but I do want to go to Monsieur Smart first, so he can start by proceeding with moving the motion, if you'd like to move the motion.
Merci. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. So the amendment that we're suggesting to paragraph is that the party making a call for bids, the regulator has to conduct a regional assessment or strategic environmental assessment of the impacts of offshore renewable energy projects in those Crown Reserve areas, or the regulator has determined that a previous regional assessment or strategic environmental assessment has been conducted. The reason for this is that there are some groups that appeared before the committee, Ecology Action Center, Energy, Nova Scotia fisheries, and they all expressed their concerns with regard to tenders that might be made in zones that weren't in the past or have not already been evaluated in the context of regional or strategic environmental evaluation. So I think it would be important to improve the bill and take into account their concerns.
Thank you, Monsieur Simard, for moving your motion. We'll now proceed to, we have some folks that want to speak on the motion. Ms. Stubbs has passed. I'll go to Mr. Angus.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Mr. Aldag, would you like to speak on the motion, or Ms. DeBrusen?
Yes, so.
No, go ahead. I'll pass mine to
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead,
Wilson.
Mr. Brusen.
So I think we've had this conversation a few times now about some of the different amendments that have been proposed by the BQ. And what I'll say is, look, we agree, and I agree with the intent, but ultimately we're going to be opposing this amendment. And when I say that, it's that, there are currently regional assessments for offshore wind that are being done right now in advance of future calls for bids. And the bill has amendments that do allow and provide for offshore regulators to have the authority to conduct regional and strategic assessments, but they're not intended to be prescriptive. And really, when we're talking about this work and how we've discussed these with the provinces would be unlikely to support such prescriptive measures. So I will be opposing this.
Thank you, Ms. DeBrusen. As I don't see any other members like to speak on the amendment, we will proceed to the vote. Shall BQ 11 carry?
Mr. Aldig? No. Mr. Bruson? No. Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
No.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yeah.
Mr. Patzer?
Yeah.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yeah.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
5 yeas, 6 nays.
BQ 11 is defeated. We'll now move to, yes, Ms. Stubbs?
Can I move my motion now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the clarification earlier. So it's been properly submitted, and I would just like to quickly move this motion pertaining to Government Estimate C. I gave notice on February 15th regarding the supplementary estimates that the Minister can speak to those estimates to be accountable to all Canadians, and so I sure do hope that all members of this committee will want to hear from the Minister to be open, accountable, and transparent to all of the people who sent us here to do these jobs on their behalf. So I would like to move that pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee invite the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources to appear for 2 hours with departmental officials to testify on the supplementary estimate C for the fiscal year 2023-24, and that they appear before the end of the current supply period. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Stubbs. I will now go to the speaking list. I have Mr. Angus and Mr. Patzer. Mr. Angus, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I certainly support this because this is common. However, I vote to adjourn because we are dealing with important legislation. Once we deal with the legislation, then we can bring this forward. So I would say if Madame Stubbs wants to talk with us about this, I'm totally supportive, but I really want to focus on the jobs that we're dealing with Newfoundland, Labrador, so I vote to adjourn the debate.
Go ahead. Proceed to a vote.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes, adjourn.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Falk?
Nope.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Oui.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
So that's carried. We'll now go back to proceed to G1. Do we have a member for G1 to move it, Mr. Bruson?
This is actually a pretty, it's a small correction amendment. It is to change the wording from the selection is made the basis of the criterion is what's written currently. It would change that to criteria. So it's really a matter of a correction in the language choice. So I'm hoping that others will choose to support this.
I don't see anybody else for debate. We can go right to the vote.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Falk? Mr. Pratzer?
Sure.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mr. Simard?
Wait.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
11 yeas, no nays.
Okay. G1 is carried unanimously. We'll now proceed to NDP 1. I will go to the member, Mr. Angus.
Thank you, Chair. Well, certainly one thing we heard from witnesses is concerns that if we are going to have big investment in offshore wind, that we actually make sure that we have that Canadian workers are benefiting and that we're making sure that there's commitments to good jobs, because certainly we know that people who've worked in the oil sector who may be wanting to work there, they're used to getting good pay and good jobs. And it was raised issues of contracting out and bringing in other workers from other nations to handle the big jobs. So this would be a pretty straightforward amendment to make sure that it includes project labor agreements and community benefit agreements to increase the participation of Canadians involved in this. And this is very much in line with matching what Biden is doing. Biden has made commitments to make sure that there are going to be jobs, there are going to be good paying union jobs for American workers. We can't leave our Canadian workers in Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, and those who may want to move there to do these jobs, we can't put them at risk without having commitments that there's going to be good, strong labor agreements in place.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. I'll now go to the next speaker, Mr. Bruson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree with the intent of what's been proposed, but I had a question for the officials. To begin, has there been discussion with the provinces about this amendment, and do we have a sense of how they would respond?
Hi, I think the chair, I thank the member for the question. Yes, we have had discussions with the provinces. They're likely to oppose on the basis that trade unions are captured under the term individuals, which are represented or not by trade unions.
And if could I ask another question, just following up on that?
You have the floor.
Just because I just heard something, I just wanted to make sure I understood it. I feel like I just heard that the term individuals that appears in the bill, or in the amendments to the bill, would capture trade unions. Is that a correct interpretation? Like, is there an interpretation act or something that sets that out?
So the clause is about corporations and individuals participating on a competitive basis in the supply of goods and services. So trade unions wouldn't necessarily participate in the supply of goods and services. They would represent the individuals that do. And that's why individuals are either represented by trade unions or not, and both can participate.
Okay. I guess the only other piece that I just wanted to clarify on this, because there's parts in this proposed amendment about labor agreements and community benefit agreements, and those are tools that are important for provinces and proponents to be able to use. But But maybe if you can help me understand if this is something that's typically included in legislation, specifically a reference to labor agreements and to community benefits, would they be considered beyond the scope of what this, what the clauses say? Maybe just if you could help me with that.
Absolutely. I thank the member for the question. Indeed, so labor agreements and community benefits agreements are tools that are used. However, they're not typically in legislation. And paragraph B in particular is about addressing underrepresented groups specifically. And so it's the project labor agreements and community benefits agreements are outside of the scope of what the intent of B would be. Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you. Based on the answers that we've gotten at this point, what I would be seeking is unanimous consent to stand down this amendment and to vote on this clause, as long as the corresponding clause in the amendment to the Canada-Nova Scotia version of this bill. I have to keep saying it because there's a Newfoundland and then there's a Nova Scotia, so we'd have to stand them both down, so that the committee, via the clerk, can seek the opinion of the provinces in writing before we proceed with a vote on these specific amendments and clauses.
Okay, before I proceed to that, Mr. Bruson, I'm just going to hold for 1 sec here and just... We'll suspend for a few minutes. We're back. Colleagues, I will ask, do we have unanimous consent to stand clause 38 and 147? We do not have unanimous consent? Okay. Okay, we will, yes, go ahead, Mr. Bruson.
I guess that's too bad because it would have given us the time to get the opinion from the provinces directly on this. But in light of the fact that they're going to have to pass mirror legislation that mirrors what we're passing now in these discussions, I'm going to need to oppose the NDP amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Bruson. We'll now go to Mr. Patzer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Now,
Almost like it's been rushed.
yeah, exactly. I'm going to speak from my own personal experience here. I have worked in the wind industry previously. I was not a unionized employee, which that's fine. Some people, some businesses, their employees unionize, some they don't. But the company I worked for certainly was not. The company I worked for had all kinds of, it was an international company, but they had North American headquarters. There's an overseas company, but there were several different divisions of the company, and as far as I know, I don't believe that any of them were unionized. So I don't think that when you prescribe, I do think that what the experts at the end of the table said about there's no need to include certain language in there because the terms as the bill already had in it encompass that. I think that would better, the way it was originally written would better reflect the workforce scenario because it does include unionized workers, but it also includes non-unionized workers. So I think we need to make sure that it's reflected that way. And also in a different job that I had, a company I worked for 10 years, not in the wind industry, a different one. I was a member of Unifor, shocker, I know, but it was a big corporation that I worked for. So there are unionized workers within Canadian corporations as well. So I think that it's generally understood that is in fact the case. Now, on the surface, project labor agreements and community benefit agreements, particularly I'm going to focus more on the project labor agreements. I think on the surface it sounds like a lovely idea. I get the intent behind them. It seems like a good idea. Practically, especially with wind, it's a lot harder in actuality to do. The reason being that it's a very specialized skill set that you end up needing in certain parts of this industry. So, for example, the company I work for, Vestas Wind Technologies, they had guys who were dedicated wind blade repair technicians. And as far as I know, there was only like 2 of them in all of North America. Even despite the fact that they had several wind farms across North America, the demand for how many blade repair technicians you needed, they only needed like 2 or 3 of them. So for building and installing these machines, a lot of the installation, some of it is specialized, a lot of it is generalized. So you might be, in some breaths, for installation purposes, you might be able to get away with this. But where these companies are looking at is the maintenance and service agreements, and that's where you're getting the long-term jobs. Now, the farm I worked at was 82 machines. There was 9 of us full-time employees on site that did the work on the machines. But the guys who did the installations, there were some local people that were hired to help set them up. But as far as the specialized parts, again, it was a traveling crew. There was 2 traveling crews, one in Canada, there's 3. There's 1 in Canada and 2 in the United States. It was those crews that traveled around and did all the site installations. Again, because you're not going to have the long-term installation of these machines to justify having something that's going to prescribe that you need to have a vast and robust labor force for the installation of wind turbines, right? I know that some people will think that we're just that because there's so many to build that it'll work, but the reality is they're going to build a couple of these farms, and that's where it'll pause in that region for it's just the way it works. And these people are going to have to travel around the country in order to keep being installers. Unless they get in on a service agreement to be a maintenance tech. But at that point, same thing, you're going to be a maintenance tech. If you need blade work, you're going to bring in blade technicians. It might be from the company, it might be a contractor. If you need to swap out a genset, most likely you're bringing in someone that's got the specialty skill to be able to swap out a genset. If you need to take the nacelle off, you're going to be bringing in specialty equipment, and you're not just going to be able to have that in a project labor agreement. You're not just going to have someone sitting around waiting for 5 years for the first genset to blow up and need to be replaced, right? Like it's just the practicality of it isn't going to work. So that's why I don't. Again, it's not that I think that it comes from the right spirit, but I just think practically I don't think it's going to work. So I don't think including that within this amendment is going to actually benefit the area. The intent seems fine, but the practicality of it isn't going to work out in this particular instance.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer, for your detailed intervention and telling us a little bit more on your experiences. I will now proceed to Mr. Angus. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, Canada is the only G7 country without an offshore wind industry, so we are behind the 8 ball. We know that coming off the North Shore, the amount of trained workers, many of who came off the oil patch, will be just picked up very quickly to come and do the work. Because they'll come in on contract and they'll move quickly. Unless we have labor benefit agreements, we lose. In comparison to what Mr. Patzer said, it's common in mining, and I've dealt with many cases where we've tried to get, say, from Finland expertise, if we're adding new equipment, specific equipment that brings in a specific set of skills. You bring those people in on short-term work agreements so that they can, because that's their specialty. But the work itself is done by Canadian trained workers. And I would be, anybody who thinks that the operating engineers of Canada aren't trained and ready to take on any job in offshore wind, I don't believe that. Anyone who thinks that the IBW workers are not ready to take on any job in offshore wind, I don't believe that. Anybody who thinks that the longshore workers out of Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, who work on so many of the rigs and bringing people back and forth, aren't able to do this work, I don't buy that. But you need to have the labor benefit agreements, because companies easily will take contract workers from whatever, and if they're coming off out of Fife and saying, hey, we'll send in our crew, we'll fly in, we'll fly out, those jobs are going to be going to Scotland, and they're not going to Canada. And I would think it would be a real tragedy if we passed this. I mean, I'd be more than willing to have stood this down so we could actually talk to Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, because it's about jobs. It's about their jobs. But if the Conservatives want to force this, then we'll vote. But it is important to say labor benefit agreements. Biden put those in because they knew easily they could be bringing in workers from Korea. They could be bringing in workers from anywhere. That's how this is done. So the labor benefit agreements, it doesn't mean they're all going to be unionized. It doesn't mean they're all going to be locked in. But if you sign in a contract that you're going to say we have to have some commitments to work in Canada, that's the fundamental principle, and I certainly would, any day of the week, would trust the skills that we've seen in Canadian-trained workers to be able to do any job.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. We'll now go to Mr. Dreeshen.
Thank you, and then having listened to the commentary for the last few minutes, I think there's a distinction to be made. We have construction-type jobs, which is basically what we are talking about. Yes, we need to have that sort of expectation and expertise. And then the other side, we have maintenance, but there's also the operational part. And I think that's the difference when we talk about, we're going to bring people that are used to working in the oil sands and that they're and oil and gas, and that they're then going to be able to jump into these types of jobs. These jobs are gone once the construction is done. I mean, this isn't as though this is a long-term employment plan, and the companies are going to use what they can to get these things built as quickly as they can and get them out and start getting their money from the government on this. So I mean, so those are the realities that exist, and to think that this is going to, even though they're going to have if the plan works to break up the oil and gas industry so that it can't be workable anymore, those are not the kind of jobs that those folks are used to. It's day-to-day tough jobs that they are working on, and that's what you do in oil and gas. It's not, okay, once the windmill's up there, then we'll just watch her spin. So I think it's important to recognize that this is not going to be that panacea for job creation that some people suggest that it might be.
Thank you, Mr. Dreeshen. I'll now go to Mr. Patzer.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is bearing in mind that the return on investment on these is really, really thin already as it is. There's lots of them. There's lots of wind farms that don't even break even by the time the 20-year lifespan is hit, right? The beauty with mining is you can have mines that are open for 70, 80, 90 years, right? Like they can continue to go and they can find new deposits, or they can change focus for what they're trying to find, and they, depending on the formation, they might be able to keep the mine going and going, right? So in that case, it's a little bit different because you are able to build and establish a long-term projectable project there. But with wind, I mean, there's some wind farms that are taken down after 10, 12, 15 years because they just, there's issues with them and the profitability just isn't there. So I think, again, making things more cumbersome, in particular for offshore, which to set up an installation of these things, the costs on it are astronomical compared to on land. Again, it's creating and finding a sustainable workforce. It's not going to happen, right? In one particular region of the country, because it's, again, the scalability is. It's not, in the long run, it's not going to be there. It's great that the provinces are looking at doing this, but the reality is trying to get the skilled labor that you need for it is going to require short-term contract workers to come in. Hopefully they come from somewhere else in Canada. That's certainly my hope. But forcing it to be somebody local, maybe that'll be great, but that person's going to have a job for a year or two, and then they're going to have nothing else nearby because they've just been trained to do something there's no longer going to be any work, and then they're going to be the one that's going to have to be the one to travel and be imported somewhere else to do the work, and if there's project labor agreements in those places, that person now can't go get the work in the field that they've been trained for, and a company will have spent all that money training somebody to do something that they can no longer do. So I think it's important to just, again, these things sound like a fine idea, but practically it's going to be tough.
Okay. I don't see anybody else for further debate, so we'll now proceed to the vote. Shall NDP 1 carry? Can we call the roll, please?
Mr. Alday?
No.
Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
No.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Falk?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
Nay.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
We
2 yeas, 9 nays.
NDP 1 is defeated. We'll now proceed to CPC 7. Do I have a member who'd like to move it? Mr. Patzer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let's move that Clause 38 be amended by adding after line 19 on page 25 the following. C, importance shall be given to the development of measures to assist in the preservation of the fishing industry, including measures to assist in understanding and maintaining the environmental characteristics of the offshore area that support that industry. Now, we did hear several witnesses come and talk about the importance of the fishing industry, the need to be consulted, and we heard repeatedly that they were not. So I do think making sure that any project will take into consideration, substantially consider the plight of the fishing industry, which is the main industry in these provinces, and there's some briefs from some First Nations groups that were talking about the importance that this is for their people, for economic reconciliation, for opportunity. So I think this is a good amendment here.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. I'm going to go to Mr. Aldag.
Yeah, I'll just say briefly that without a question, the federal government, the governments of Newfoundland, Labrador, and the government of Nova Scotia put a high value on or highly value the fisheries industry. I think everybody recognizes the significant economic impacts that the fisheries has to not only those provinces but to also our country. That being said, that there are already mechanisms within the existing accords and the existing acts, this bill as well, that provide for assessments, looking at things like the impacts of potential energy projects. And so I think that this is an unnecessary addition to the legislation, and we will not be supporting it.
Thank you, Mr. Aldag. I'll now go to Mr. Angus.
We certainly heard a lot of concern from the fishing community. And I would take it's not just so much the huge economic impact of fishing in Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, but also the fragility of where they work. I was very struck by the deep concerns with the changing climate and the ocean currents is putting more and more pressure on. What I read in this from Ms. Stubbs is it's not prescriptive. It's not overriding what may exist already at the board level and at the provincial, both provinces. It's reminding us that we have to consider the importance of the fishing industry. So I think it's a pretty straightforward amendment. If the provinces did have a problem with looking after the fisheries, well, I think then they'd have to go back and talk to their own people. But I don't think that this is overriding or demanding or changing anything that exists. It's just reminding us that we have to not let the very fragile fisheries be damaged. So in anything we do, we should always put that as a top priority. So I think it's a pretty straightforward amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. I'm going to go to Mr. Aldag.
Well, I'd like to go to the officials and get their advice or opinion on this. We've now had two different perspectives on whether this is needed or not, related to acknowledging the value and importance of the fisheries as well as the sensitivity. So if we could turn to the officials for their thoughts, that would be helpful.
Hi, I thank the member for the question. We believe that the Bill C-49 has many tools to evaluate the impacts, and even the tools that we use prior to call for bids being launched to issue licenses, such as the regional assessments that are currently ongoing, spatial planning. Those are all tools that are used to address the impacts to fishers from offshore energy. This clause in particular is very broad and is not limited to the impacts to fishers from offshore renewable energy. It's just preserving the fishing industry writ large, and so that's something that is partially beyond the scope of this act. So I think that would be our assessment of the clause.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Aldag. I'll now go to Mr. Angus.
Well, thank you. It's all very helpful. I did go to bat for the operating engineers and got shot down. I went to bat for the IBEW and got shot down. I went for the longshore workers, but I am not going to go back to Katie Powers at Unifor and tell her that we didn't go to bat for the fishers. So I think it's pretty straightforward, so I'll be supporting it.
I'll go to Ms. Stubbs.
I just want to thank Charlie for your support of this amendment, and I guess to the Liberal MPs, with all due respect for their assurances, I thank the officials, but of course we're here to do our jobs as elected representatives, and this is the place where we need to fix bills and ensure that they achieve the outcomes that we want. I thank Charlie for his support of this very straightforward, common sense amendment that talks both to protecting the livelihoods, the businesses, the generational family investments of fishers and lobstermen in offshore areas, as well as ensuring that in this legislation there is consideration of the cumulative environmental impacts and potentially negative impacts, or at least to ensure that this legislation ensures that those will be mitigated, both for environmental stewardship of sensitive marine and ecological areas, as well as to preserve the livelihoods and businesses in these sectors that are so important both to Nova Scotia and to Newfoundland and Labrador. So I thank the officials certainly for their input, but it would, I think, be shocking to the people of Nova Scotia and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador if Liberal MPs in this committee did not support this amendment.
Okay. We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall CPC 7 carry? Yes. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag?
No.
Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Baptiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
No.
Mr. Dreesen?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yay.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
CPC 7 carries. Okay. Shall clause 38 as amended carry?
Yes.
That was your warning.
Once again, shall clause 38 as amended carry? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Ms. de Bruson?
Yes.
Monsieur Baptiste? Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreesen?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yeah.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yay.
Monsieur Simard? No. Mr. Angus?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
Clause 38 carries. There are no amendments submitted to clauses 39 to 46. Do we have unanimous consent to group them for the vote? Okay, shall clauses 39 to 46 carry? Yes. Call the vote, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Monsieur Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
We.
Mr. Dreesen?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yep.
Mr. Patzer?
Yeah.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
That's carried. We'll now go to clause 47. G2. Is there a member who would like to move G2? Mr. Bruson.
So this is part of a group of amendments that you will see coming forward that would allow for a separate coming into force, of certain clauses in this bill that pertain to the Impact Assessment Act. That would allow for coordination between statutes as we're bringing forward amendments to the Impact Assessment Act this spring. So this motion separates out a provision that cross-references Section 16 of the Impact Assessment Act from other parts of Clause 47. And you'll see there are going to be some similar motions. It's, like I said, part of a group.
Thank you, Mr. Bruson. Do I have any other speakers? Mr. Patzer, go ahead.
Good. Well, I guess I hope that this means that the government is going to be taking seriously the unconstitutionality of the Impact Assessment Act by this, as I believe this is one of the many sections of this bill that are impacted by that. So do you, I guess my only question, maybe this goes to Julie, I don't know, maybe the officials, maybe they're working on this, maybe they know, but what's the, you mentioned spring, but is there a more specific timeline here for when we can realistically see some of these hopeful fixes to the Impact Assessment Act?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
So is that question
I can
directed
answer
to
it.
officials? I mean, I could put.
I don't know. You just said you're to me. Like I can answer. Like I can say that spring is going to be upon us soon, and I don't have a specific date that I'll give you. But keep your eyes peeled. It'll be in the spring.
Maybe. Okay. Well, hopefully the minister can answer that when we get to hopefully vote on the motion that my colleague did about getting them here for estimates, right? So hopefully at that point the minister can give us an update on it, because I would think that this would be issue number one and 5-alarm fire on getting this dealt with, because it should have been dealt with before this point, I would have thought, right? Because when something's unconstitutional, usually that should be priority number one.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. I'm going to go to Mr. Dreeshen.
Well, thank you, and our witnesses here are from the Justice Department, particularly, I believe, though, associated with environment, but nevertheless, somewhere along the line, they should be the experts to be able to speak to the unconstitutionality of C-69, and that, of course, was the whole issue of it not being dealt with before we're being forced to deal with this here. And so, therefore, the actions that we have at this particular point in time, if we include those elements of C-69, make this unconstitutional, in my view. So I'd like to know what Justice Department officials have been doing to ensure that there is not an issue, or that it can be dealt with quickly, because that has been the whole point of what has been taking place here for the last couple of months. So I listened to. I would like to have someone from from Justice be able to enlighten me on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I work for NRCan Legal Services, not the Department of Environment. So what we're proposing here is to create a distinct date for the coming into force of paragraph 9.1 in the section, 119, so that when the Minister of Environment is ready to introduce the revision to the IAA, will be able to bring into force this provision at a distinct time without slowing down the coming into force of all other provision proposed in C-49.
So, therefore, there is an admission that there is a conflict between the Impact Assessment Act and the unconstitutionality that has been presented and this legislation. I just want to make sure that, because you are carving out portions, and I'm sure that, if we go to any of these, that will be a similar answer, that we have to change this one because we are awaiting the ministry or the department, excuse me, trying to sort that out. Is there, and I guess this is a concern that I've had over the years. We do have lawyers in departments. We have, there should be decisions made that doesn't make it constitutional. However, we have other courts, Supreme Courts and others, that will say, no, there's a problem, it has to be fixed. What is the reason why you weren't able to give information about the fix earlier on? Or we simply have to wait and assume that the minister will come up with the proper type of discussion of legislation to fix it? And how will we know that it actually does fix it? I mean, it will be a bunch of legal people from your team that will say, okay, we believe this is a fix. Is it going to go back to the Supreme Court then to see whether, in effect, it does remedy the concerns? How will we know?
The only answer I can provide you at this time is that we introduced C-49 before in May 30, and as my colleagues from the legislative sections are working on a revision of the IAA, we've been asked to make a few amendments to this bill to ensure that we will bring these provisions only in force once the revision of the IAA has been done. So
So the suggestions that we've been making that indicates that maybe C-49 could have been looked at later, once you have had all of that done, would have some merit?
this is not for
But would it have been easier had you not having to be dealing with this legislation if you had some certainty on how the government was going to deal with the unconstitutionality aspect of C-69? Would it have been easier? No, this is the reason we're...
The discussion, as you know, the Accord Acts are joint legislation that we jointly manage the resources with the provinces, and the agreement between the federal government and the provincial government here was to bring forward C-49 with the proposed amendments and the motions to be able to carry on the work on C-49. And that's how far I can answer to your
Okay,
question.
well, thank you. And my main question was on timing, as to whether or not there had to be this rush to be able to get that done until we'd had sorted out what the other problem was. So I leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Dreeshen. I'll now go to Mr. Bruson.
Maybe just to follow up with the officials on that, I was just wondering if you could advise if the provinces support the amendments.
Yes, the provinces have been consulted on the amendments and the motions, and they support what is being proposed here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, no problem. Go ahead, Mr. Patzer.
Is this like a standard procedure? Like, I understand you're trying to leave a room for them to make the amendments to the unconstitutional parts here, but is this the wording here? Is this the standard procedure to create that wiggle room for them to be able to do that? Or is this something that's going to have to come back to committee after those proposals are done for us to revisit at a later date?
Well, the wording here is what we need to create a distinct date for coming into force of the provisions. And if there are further amendments that are required, this will be addressed when we see what the IAA revision bill will propose if necessary.
Okay, so this is okay but without a distinct date, like that was kind of my point of my first question earlier, was the fact that there isn't a distinct date, but they said this is common language to create that room to be able to retroactively put in a distinct date after the fact. Like, is that like this is standard? This is regular. This happens all the time. Is that what I'm to believe here?
That's what we have to insert into the bill to create separate clauses.
Okay. Is there okay? But you guys don't have a date in mind here yet, then, obviously.
There's no set date. Clause 221 of the bill simply have a date of coming into force by order of the Governing Council for the different provisions. That's,
okay. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other speakers? Stubbs, go ahead.
Well, Chair, I would just say, I think we feel for the position that the officials are in. It's blindingly clear that the Liberals' failure to bring in changes to remedy the Supreme Court's decision that less than 10% of the Impact Assessment Act is in fact constitutional. The Supreme Court said, quote unquote, largely unconstitutional, even though that bill has been law for the last 5 years, and I can say personally, and on behalf of my Conservative colleagues, nearly every single issue the Supreme Court of Canada pointed out as a problem in the Impact Assessment Act, we pointed out during the debates on C-69. In fact, it happened to be me personally often in the debates on C-69 through committee and through each stage. So, good kudos to the officials for doing their best in this position that unfortunately the elected members of Parliament have caused for them. I would just note, of course, that it's been 139 days since the Supreme Court said that the Impact Assessment Act, including all of the provisions that are here in C-49 relating to decision-making power and to the project scheme are all unconstitutional. This is, of course, why, Chair, you'll recall that I moved a motion, which was rejected by the NDP Liberal Coalition, to first deal with fixing the unconstitutional sections of C-69 so that then we could move on to an analysis and assessment to ensure that legislators could deal properly with C-49 and would not be facing what obviously will be delays, uncertainty, and litigation even once this legislation passes. So this entire scenario is illuminating the failure on the part of the Liberal government to have not listened to experts in the first place in the Democratic debate on C-69, but also to have ignored us and held up this bill now while also creating this potential for uncertainty and litigation and even more lack of clarity for the people of Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Labrador, and for any private sector proponents who want to get involved in the offshore renewables as a result of Bill C-49. So kudos to the officials for being in an uncomfortable position and making good faith effort to answer these questions and deal with the mess that the elected Liberal members of Parliament have created for them, including, of course, backed by their NDP cohort. When we tried to deal with this in November, of course, the official is right that the C-49 was introduced on May 30th at the end of the spring session, always an indication of a government's priority, with, of course, no debate, no assessment by legislators at that time, and then only was brought back in September with less than 9 hours of total debate for all members of Parliament in all parties. And then, of course, we've heard from witness testimony through the limited hours that the NDP Liberals have forced on this piece of legislation that there are gaping holes both in the existing unconstitutionally, the C-69 provisions that are here, in C-49, and but what may end up being a catastrophic lack of consultation, the development of the bill with various entrepreneurs and business owners and generational family businesses in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador. So I guess at this point, I would just like to say, imagine the time that could have been wasted. Imagine how much farther we would be ahead if the federal government, the federal Liberals, had just done the right thing in the first place, which would have been, first of all, to get C-69 right in the first place and not create a mess that has to be completely untangled now. But, of course, if they had just listened to us in November instead of playing games, delaying and delaying, to hold this bill up, we wouldn't have to be in this ridiculous scenario where we're having these conversations of having to bundle amendments to fix problems that are their own fault. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tubbs. I'll now go to Mr. Angus.
Thank you. My understanding, officials, just getting myself back here onto ground zero on Earth, the push for this is coming from the provinces to update an existing accord, correct? We're not making something new. There's an accord. The provinces are pushing us to do this, so there's a timeline to get this thing done. Is that, did I misunderstand all this, or is that how this is playing out?
You're correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, then I'd say let's get it done, because that's what the provinces have asked us to do.
I think we've exhausted the speakers list. We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G2 carry? If we could call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreescher?
No.
Mr. Tolmie?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
Clause 47 carries. Sorry, G2 carries. Yeah, we'll now go to the clause, shall clause 47 carry?
As amended.
As amended. Shall clause 47 carry as amended?
Yes.
Call
Mr.
the roll.
Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbar?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Clause 47 carries as amended. Okay, we'll now proceed, and I'll go to Mr. Patzer prior to moving forward. Go ahead, Mr. Patzer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Now, last meeting, we had talked about, if there was proposals to try to group certain clauses together, just in the spirit of trying to be collaborative, but also trying to still honor the province's wishes to get them the piece of legislation that they need, while simultaneously also doing our job to point out some of the inconsistencies and flaws and problems that we have with this bill. I do have a quick proposal for just this next set of grouping here. If we could group 48 through 57 together, we'd be fine to vote all those ones together in one grouping. There are a couple other pieces that we would like a recorded vote on after that, or a couple clauses after that that we would like to parse out separately, but as far as grouping a few together, I think we'll, if I have unanimous consent from everybody around the table for Clause 48 through Clause 57 to be the next grouping that we vote on, I'd be happy to move that. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, if we have unanimous consent to group 48 to 57 together, do we have unanimous consent? We do. Okay, so shall clauses 48 to 57 carry? Call the vote roll, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbar?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yes.
Mr. Tolman?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
That's carried. That's clauses 48 to 57 carried. We'll now proceed to clause 58. Shall clause 58 carry? Please call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbar?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Ms. Patzer? Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Clause 58 is carried. We'll now proceed to clause 59. Shall clause 59 carry? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Oui.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
That's carried. Clause 59 is carried. We'll now move to new clause 59.1, and we'll go to BQ 12. Monsieur Samad.
Donc,
Yes, once again, to follow up on what I said at our last meeting, there is a very clear will we've heard from many interveners, I think, with Norma Mousseau, a professor at the University of Montreal and scientific director and some representatives of First Nations who came to tell us that they would a transition draft in the context of the energy transition, which would give priority to low energy or low emission projects. So the Bill C-49 be amended by having line 15 on page 36, the following clause of 59.1. The 137.2, if more than one application is made under section 138 or 138.01 for the same area, the regulator shall take the following factors into account in making its decision. A, the objectives and obligations set out in the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act, and B, proposed or potential renewable energy projects in that area. 2, if applications are made for both a petroleum-related work or activity and a work or activity relating to a renewable energy project in the same area, the regulator shall give priority to the work or activity relating to a renewable energy project. I think that this amendment will allow us to make this bill more appropriate for the renewable energy project environment.
To Mr. Drishan, and then I'll go to Mr. Cerbero after. Go ahead, Mr. Drishan.
Perhaps the folks in the department could answer this. When we speak about the objectives and obligations set out in the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act, do those deal with the full life cycle emissions that take place from the start of the project until the end? As I've mentioned in many cases, if we're not going to speak about the actual emissions in the development, the building, the transportation, and everything else, then how does it really tie into a net zero emissions metric? And so that is my concern. We see these acts, we see the fancy names, but if no one can tell the proponents that actually they are doing something good for the planet and that they are actually changing, the amount of emissions that are taking place, if you're going to get the same amount except that you're paying somebody to put something else up, or you're going to have worse emissions, but you're paying somebody to work in a project, I'm concerned about what level of metrics are associated with the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act, and whether the things that I have just discussed are actually being looked at for each and every project that we might have.
Mr. Chair, thank you for your question. I hope that I followed it enough to be able to say that, unfortunately, I don't think your panel here from NRCan can answer that question. I really don't have any insight into specifically what's in that act that you reference. And
Who could we speak to? I mean, you're a department official, so you must have a network somewhere. Who could we speak to in order to get that type of information?
Just one moment. I'm going to check here.
Yeah, they have to measure everything, so you're right, they probably would.
I'm sorry. I wish we had some insight. We'd have to come back. I mean, we could speculate. It seems like maybe it would be one of our, other departments that you would expect, but
and
we'll have to come
that.
back. I'm sorry.
Sure. Whether it be industry or whomever, I mean, we know that there is a footprint for anything that is out there. And I just hope that somebody is paying attention before we start jumping into how one project is better than another and that sort of thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Drishan. Mr. Cerbero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Drishan, for your comments. And Merci, Deputy Barcel Duval, on your commentary. With regards to the BQ12 in terms of the proposed amendment, Mr. Chair, I will be humbly opposing this motion. The intent of C-49 is not to obviously cease oil and gas activity, it is to continue to build offshore renewable energy projects in Atlantic Canada. And it is the responsibility of governments to make strategic decisions regarding the pace and scale of development in the offshore for both petroleum and offshore renewable energy. And in making these decisions, it's obviously the responsibility of government, not the regulator, to consider broader policy objectives and commitments. This is beyond the scope of what was negotiated with the provinces, and it is unlikely that they would support this. So with that, I would be opposing to BQ 12. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cervera. We will now proceed to Mr. Angus.
I pass.
Okay. As we have no other speakers, we will now proceed to BQ 12. Shall BQ 12 carry? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag? No. Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
No, and I see Mr. Simon.
Mr. Druchin?
No, it's 59.
Mr. Tobin?
No.
Mr. Patson?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
1 yea, 10 nays.
BQ 12 is defeated. We'll now move to Clause 60. Shall Clause 60 carry? Please call the vote.
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Druchin?
Yes.
Mr. Tomey?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
Clause 60 carries. We'll now proceed to Clause 61. BQ 13. Just 1 second, please.
Donc, il devient caduc que je le présenterai pas.
No, I will not be proposing this amendment. Sorry.
We'll now proceed to BQ 14. Monsieur Samad, BQ 14.
Oui.
Yes, so very quickly, the text is Section 138 of the Act is amended by adding the following after subsection 1. 1.1, a new application for license or authorization shall not be made to the regulator after this subsection comes into force. So the idea is that it's very simple. Is to the government has the requirement to, with regard to the forbidding of any new application in zones under the agreement. Because I have the agreement that the spirit of the law, and as we've heard from a number of witnesses, is to encourage clean energy, and I don't think fossil fuels are clean sources. Thank you.
Mr. Smart, I'll go to Mr. Patzer, then Mr. Cervera.
Thank you. I think we heard quite clearly that the provinces are still interested in developing their offshore petroleum resources. It's unfortunate that there were no bids made, but I do think that it would be wrong-headed of the federal government to be telling a provincial government what they can and cannot do with their natural resources. As we all know around the table, and natural resource development is the sole jurisdiction of the provinces, so therefore let's let the provinces do what they do best, and we will be voting against this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. Go to Mr. Cervera.
I'm going to get it right this time. Bienvenue, Deputy Simard. With regards to BQ 14, much like with regards to BQ 12, look, the intent of the loi 649 is to build an offshore renewable energy sector and to support offshore renewable energy projects in Atlantic Canada. The intent of C49 is not to cease oil and gas activity, or oil and gas production. This proposed amendment or motion is beyond the scope of what was negotiated with the provinces, and it is unlikely that the provinces would support this. So with that, I will be opposing the BQ 14. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cervera. There's no other speakers. We'll now go to the vote. Shall BQ 14 carry? Please call the vote.
Mr. Aldig?
No.
Mr. Bruson?
No.
Monsieur Baptiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Cervera?
Nope.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tomey?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
1 yea, 10 nays.
BQ 14 is defeated. We'll now proceed to shall clause 61 carry? Please call the vote.
Mr. Aldig?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
I'm up next.
Mr. Cervera?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tomey?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard? No. Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Clause 61 carries. Clause 62. For the consideration of Clause 62, members of the committee will have noted on the agenda that the amendments creating new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 come in the middle of amendments for Clause 62. That is because the committee must study the proposed amendments in order in which they would appear in the bill. The amendments creating new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 will therefore be moved and voted on during the study of Clause 62. At the end, once the amendments in Clause 62 are disposed of, the committee will vote on Clause 62 as amended, or not. If amendments to create new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 are adopted, they will be reflected in the reprint of the bill that will be produced for use at report stage. Okay, everybody understands that?
Clear as mud.
Great. Okay, so now we will proceed to G3.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So
Mr. Bruson.
this is, like I said, there would be a group of amendments that I would be moving in respect of coordinating with the Impact Assessment Act. So specifically, this motion separates provision referencing conditions established under the Impact Assessment Act from other provisions in Clause 62 pertaining to offshore renewable energy authorizations. So it's putting, like I said, for the others, it's a separate coming into force.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patzer?
Yeah, I actually had just a quick clarification on the lines here. In, I guess it would be Clause C, or Part C, not Clause C, but Part C of this. It says, by adding after line 10 on page 38, I was just curious with the fact that we're deleting 3 lines on the page prior. Is that not going to impact where the next portion is going to fall in, or maybe not? Or does it all just move up and it's all fine? Maybe I'm just overlooking there, overthinking this, but does it not change which line we're talking about here?
Give us a moment. As discussed with the clerk, it does not change the lines, but if there are any required changes, they will be done at reprint.
Yeah, it's just a small technical thing as well, I was wondering, so, okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, I think our outstanding comments about our concerns on the Impact Assessment Act still stand. It should have been dealt with in advance instead of having to create this provision for TBD to be included in the bill. But either which way, yeah, thanks for clarifying that small technical point for me.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. We'll now go to Mr. Dreeshen.
Well, thank you, and I hope that I'm in the right spot. So on page 38, section 2, subsection B, that's where it says the Minister of the Environment has issued a decision statement under section 65 of that act. So there's one thing to talk about the unconstitutionality of it, but here we are also putting into the bill a direction from a minister that speaks to section 65 of the act, and I'm not sure there's a lot of the act that was considered not constitutional. I'm assuming this is also one of those. Is the discussion that we had earlier where we're all going to fix this later, don't worry about it, is that also the remedy that we would suggest is going to come about in section 2B, where it speaks of the role of the Minister of the Environment?
Thank you very much for your question. Before we answer, just a clarification for officials. The question that you're answering is in pertaining to a section that is addressed later and not part of this particular motion. So I'm not sure if we are to defer answering that question to the later clause or to answer it now.
I respect that, and just, because we're going in a lot of different directions here, there is another one that I will speak to when it is the right time, and that is section 3, where it does specifically speak of the Minister of Environment and this under section 9 of the Impact Assessment Act and the things that it allows them to do if they so choose. So anyway, this section that we're dealing with right now on page 38 deals a lot with the Minister of the Environment having kind of full force do that which he seems to deem to be done. And so hopefully we can work that into the discussion. But if it's not ready on this clause, I'm prepared to wait. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dreeshen. Do we have any other speakers, just to make sure? We don't. So on G3, shall G3 carry? Yes. Call the vote. Roll, please.
Mr. Eldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolmie?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
Nope.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G3 is carried. BQ15 is moot and cannot be moved since BQ4 was defeated, so we will skip past that. We'll go to BQ16, Monsieur Samard.
Oui, en étant...
Yes. In order to be consistent, the amendment will be to ensure that every project undergoes a specific environmental assessment, and otherwise meaning that the current regional evaluation is necessary, but that is not sufficient. And again, following the many witnesses we heard, so we stress that the lack of a specific project evaluation could lead to conflicts and legal problems with regard to fishing activities and environmental defense groups and other users. So the text is very simple. And 2.1, on receipt by the regulator of an application for an authorization referred to in subsection 1 or of an application to amend the authorization, the regulator shall conduct an environmental assessment of the proposed work or activity if the proposed work or activity is not subject to an impact assessment under the Impact Assessment Act. B, by adding after line 25 on page 37, E1, an environmental assessment conducted by the regulator.
Bruson.
Thank you. Look, safety and environmental protection are really important functions of the regulators, and so, I respect that and the intent as to what Mr. Simard has put forward. But regardless of that fact, regulators do currently take on environmental assessments, but we don't need this this proposed amendment. In fact, it would be outside of the scope of what was negotiated with the provinces, and just want to keep highlighting that this is what we're talking about is an agreement that we have negotiated with provinces. So I'm going to oppose this proposed amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Bruson. Mr. Angus.
Thank you. Just on that, and I read it over, but from my understanding of the regulators and the job that they have to do, particularly in the fragile North Atlantic, big projects need to be properly assessed, and that's the process. What I feel is problematic of this is it's overkill of the federal government telling them that they're going to have to do one when it is the standard operating practice. So I don't think it's necessary, but I appreciate my colleague bringing it forward to remind us that all these projects, if they're moving ahead, are going to be in very sensitive waters, fisheries, all kinds of issues that have to be looked at. But that is the job of the regulator to do that, and so we don't have to tell the regulator to do the job that the regulator is already obligated to do.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. Okay, we will now proceed to the vote. Shall BQ 16 carry? Please call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag? No. Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
Nope.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Nope.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Pratzer?
Nope.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
1 yea, 10 nays.
BQ 16 is defeated. We'll now move to G4. Okay, Mr. Bruson.
This is another one of the cleanup type of amendments. It's just to correct a minor error in the legislation. So it will remove, there's an errant word B that was inserted there. So it's just to strike out that word. It would also keep it consistent with the Nova Scotia legislation that's going to be following this.
B or not B?
Okay, is there any further discussion on G4? We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G4 carry? Please call the roll.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Oui.
Mr. Dreeshen?
We can agree.
No.
Or not, doesn't matter.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Pratzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
We're free voting, yes.
Mrs. Simard?
Confused. Can we stop the vote?
We like democracy.
Mrs. Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes. I almost voted no, but I'm going to vote yes.
So 9 yeas, 2 nays.
G4 carries. G4 is carried. We'll now proceed to new clause 62.1 and begin with G5. Do we have a member, Ms. DeBruson?
So this is, you're going to hear this from me a few times. It's the same grouping of amendments to deal with a separate coming into force under the Impact Assessment Act. So this one would create a new subclause 62.1 under the Impact Assessment Act heading to allow for a separate coming into force for certain sections under clause 62.
Hey, I don't see any other speakers. We'll go to the vote. Oh, you got one?
I
Okay.
do have a question,
Mr. Pastor,
actually.
go ahead.
Sorry. I guess this is kind of a technical question, but like we still have a whole pile of clause 62 amendments, and we're just kind of brushing off to a brand new clause, and then we're going to circle back to the rest of it. Like, I'm just curious why we're doing it in that fashion. It just, and then later on we've got 62.2, but I think that comes up after we're done all of the 62 clause. Yeah. No, actually it's not. There's a 62.2 clause, and then we circle back to 62 again as well. So I'm just kind of curious as to why we are jumping around to different clauses and then back again. I'm just wondering, Chair, if you want to clarify why we are playing hopscotch with the clauses here.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. And that was my intro when I provided the introduction to Clause 62. And if you like, I can provide you and other members. Once again, I can read it slowly because there's a lot to digest there. So you can follow the hopscotch, as you said. So I'll just, for the benefit of all members, I'll just go over it once again. For the consideration of Clause 62, members of the committee will have noted on the agenda the amendments creating new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 come in the middle of amendments for Clause 62. That is because the committee must study the proposed amendments in the order in which they appear in the bill. The amendments creating new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 will therefore be moved and voted on during the study of Clause 62. At the end, once all amendments on Clause 62 are disposed of, the committee will vote on Clause 62 as amended or not. If amendments to create new clauses 62.1 and 62.2 are adopted, they will be reflected in the reprint of the bill that will be produced for us at report stage. I hope that clarifies your question.
I guess, why are they not considered amendments rather than whole new clauses, right? Why is that?
Mr. Patzer, I will get the clerk to explain it to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Patzer, you are right. They are just amendments to Clause 62. So there's a title in the agenda. It says new clause, but it's actually it's just a title. It's an amendment to Clause 62. That's why they're all in Clause 62.
Okay, I guess this is just, after 4 years, this is only the second piece of legislation I've ever had a chance to deal with, and C-50 was the first one. So this is the first time I'm really seeing the package like this where, because normally if there's a 62.1 or whatever, like say 47.1 or something, we do 47, and then we vote for that whole clause, and then we do the next new clause, which is 47. So that's why I was just curious why it's labeled such a way, and then all of a sudden we're still within the clause that we're already working on. So anyways, appreciate it.
We learn something new every day, and I'm like you. C-50 was my first, and this is my second bill, so we're learning together. We will, okay, so if everybody's clear, we were on G5, which was moved. We'll now proceed to the vote of shall G5 carry? Let's call the vote.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
That's a definite no. Okay.
Mr. Tomey?
Contra.
A little pressure,
Passer?
right?
No.
Stubbs?
Nay.
Mr. Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G5 carries. We'll now proceed to Clause 62 and proceed to CPC 8. Do we have a member who would like to move that? CPC 8. Mr. Patzer.
Yeah, that Bill C-49 in Clause 62 be amended by deleting lines 11 to 36 on page 38. Once again, this deals with the Unconstitutional Impact Assessment Act. And, again, when it's already creating problems across the country, I don't think it's good to be imposing those same problems on a couple more provinces that are going to run into all kinds of issues. So, yeah, we propose that this entire section be just deleted and, erase it.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Ms. DeBruson. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this falls into really the same category when we're talking about the motions that I've been moving for coming into force amendments and having separate coming into force. So I understand what the member opposite's trying to do here, but I think that it's actually dealt with by the fact that we are going to have separate coming into force dates as we have moved. And I think that that's actually exactly what the clause G5 that we just did would touch upon. So I'm not going to support this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Bruson. I'll now go to Mr. Dreeshen.
I believe then this is the part that I had spoken about earlier when I asked the officials about the significance of having the Minister of the Environment, who's issued a decision statement under Section 65 of the Act, questioning whether or not that happens to be one of those that has been deemed unconstitutional. And if it has, one is, I guess we're living in hopes that there will be a remedy. And but I just wanted to know whether or not Section 65 of the Act is one of those that that there is hope later that will not be unconstitutional. And we're also dealing with Section 137 and 137. I think that's it. No, there's a reference back through to it. So if you could just sort of give me some clarity as to whether or not this is one of those sections that has been deemed unconstitutional. And again, my hope is that we're not going to be putting these ministers or any future ministers in jeopardy in that we don't really know what the results are going to be. And I might ask one other pointed question to this as well. There's been a big discussion about when will the direction, when will it come into force? If we survive around here until 2025, maybe there's a chance that it will have come into force then. If that is not the case, if it's a little bit sooner, what are the thoughts that all of these remedies can take place such that this legislation is going to be properly addressed from the legal standpoint?
I'd like to thank the member for the question. With respect to the first part of your question on Section 65 of the Impact Assessment Act, unfortunately, I'm not an expert in the decision that was rendered by the Supreme Court, so I can't speak to the details of that opinion or decision. But what I can say is that all of the clauses that we have been discussing and the motions that have been put forward are to allow for coordination with the Impact Assessment Act so that we can ensure consistency across the statutes. With respect to coming into force, there are a number of things that need to happen for Bill C-49 to come into force. It needs to pass through this parliamentary process. The provinces also need to table and pass mirror legislation in their provincial legislatures. And the clauses that have a separate coming into force would be brought in at a date to be determined in the future in consultation with the provinces.
Okay. There's no other speakers, so we'll now proceed to the vote. Shall CPC 8 carry? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag? No. Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Sabara?
No.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yes.
Mr. Tolman?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
No.
4 yeas, 7 nays.
CPC 8 is defeated. We'll now go to G6. Ms. DeBruson?
Yes, thank you. So this is another correction piece. You're going to hit a few of these in a row, and I apologize for that, but this one is just going to be to correct a minor error and ensure consistency with the Nova Scotia part of the bill. And that is in 62. The regulator shall, on the agency's request made under subsection 13, sub 2 of the Impact Assessment Act, engage. That's
Thank you. We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G6 carry?
yes.
Yes. Mr. Aldag? Mr. Bruson? Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
G6 carries. We'll now proceed to G7. Mr. Bruson?
This is to correct a numbering error in the bill. Basically, it adds a 0 after 137 point, it should say 01. So it's just a numbering error that I'm seeking to correct.
Okay. We have no debate, so we'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G7 carry? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dreeshen?
I like to see numbers right, so I'll say yes.
Mr. Tolman?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yes.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard? Mr. Angus?
Yes.
11 yeas, no nays.
G7 carries. We'll now proceed to G8. Mr. Bruson?
This is another one that's going to be correcting a minor error and ensure consistency with the Nova Scotia bill by inserting the word review before panel. So the word review was missing. It adds it in.
Thank you, Mr. Bruson. We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G8 carry?
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yeah.
Mr. Tolman?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Yeah.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
11 yeas, no nays.
G8 carries. We'll now proceed to G9. Mr. Bruson?
G9 is to make another correction. It's going to correct an inconsistency between the English and French text of the bill, so that at 138.014, it will remove from the English the word makes and change it to is to make.
Okay. We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G9 carry? Please call the roll.
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolmy?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No, that doesn't read right to me that way, so no.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Damn straight.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G9 carries. G10, Mr. Bruson.
Thank you. So this is another correction of inconsistency between English and French in the text of the bill. For this one, en français, on a utilisé le mot et ça devrait dire.
In French, and we said and, but it should be or. So we're replacing and with so we have to change it from and to or.
We'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G10 carry?
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Oui.
Mr. Dreeshen?
Yes.
Mr. Tolmy?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Oui.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Ben oui.
11 yeas, no nays.
G10 carries. New clause 62.2, G11, Mr. Bruson.
That's going to be me again, and it's going to be part of the similar grouping of previous amendments that I had brought with changing the coming into force date for certain clauses. So specifically, this is the creation of a new subclause 62.2 that will allow for a separate coming into force of some sections in clause 62.
Hey, we will proceed to the vote. Shall G11 carry?
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolmy?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G11 is carried. We'll now proceed to clause 62, G12, Ms. DeBruson.
So this is another amendment to correct a minor error and ensure consistency with the Nova Scotia Act. In this one, it's for 138.015. The word the is replaced with the word that. So it will read now, knowledge that the authority possesses. Or actually, sorry, it doesn't actually insert it. When I'm looking at it, it inserts the word that. It doesn't replace the word that. So it now reads, knowledge that the authority possesses.
Okay. Shall G... Ms. Tubbs. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chair. You know, we're going to vote in, like, on principle against this. I just have to say again on behalf of Conservatives, clearly this bill has been rushed. Clearly the Liberals will pass a bill that will be uncertain, unclear, open to litigation. And I would just suggest that, you know, concern with this word that is like the smallest problem with this bill when, just so Canadians are aware that what the Liberals are asking us to do is just basically just trust them on a whole bunch of aspects of this bill that, as we warned from the very beginning, include all of these various sections that have been declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of Canada. So we are going to oppose this amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Stubbs. We'll now go to the vote for G12. Shall the G12 carry?
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sorbara?
Oui.
Mr. Dreeshen?
No.
Mr. Tolmy?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G12 carries. BQ 17, Monsieur Samar.
Merci.
Thank you very much. And once again, in order to be consistent to what we've said from the beginning, the amendment is that Bill C-49 in Clause 62 be amended, A, by replacing line 5 on page 41 with the following: 138.017, or a strategic environmental assessment under section B, by replacing line 14 on page 41 with the following: strategic environmental assessments. C, by replacing line 25 on page 41 with the following: 138.018. 1, the regulator may conduct a strategic environmental as. D, by replacing line 33 on page 41 with the following: conduct a strategic environmental assessment, any proposed or exist. And E, by replacing in the English version line 38 on page 41 with the following: GIC environmental assessment. So the purpose is to very simply to require the regulator to do a strategic environmental assessment. So the expression strategy comes from the Impact Act, and it's something that is very specific and doesn't really have any place in the C-49. So we want to address that problem.
BQ 17, Monsieur Cervera.
Merci beaucoup, Deputy Simard, for your proposition. Mr. Chair, I'm going to be opposing this motion on the primary basis is that the life cycle regulator for offshore projects, the regulator is already obligated to ensure that safety and environmental protection are achieved for all works and activities under its jurisdiction. These sections in the bill use the term strategic assessment, which is broader and was negotiated with the provinces, and that the strategic assessments is terminology consistent with what is used in other statutes, such as in the Impact Assessment Act. So with that, I'll be opposing the BQ 17. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now proceed to the vote. Shall BQ 17 carry? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Aldag? No. Mr. Bruson?
No.
Mr. Batiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
No.
Mr. Cervera?
No.
Mr. Drishin? No. Mr. Tolmy?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Mr. Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
1 yea, 10 nays.
Okay, that is defeated. BQ 17 is defeated. We'll now go to G 12.1, Mr. Bruson.
So this is another minor correction one. C'est qu'il y a une différence entre ce qui est marqué en anglais et en français. Alors, le numéro...
There's a difference between the English and the French, so it's 138.019 in English, but in French it's 13.8.019, so there's a zero missing.
Okay, doesn't seem like there's any further debate. We'll now go to the vote. Shall G 12.1 carry? Yes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Cervera?
Yes.
Mr. Drishin?
Yes.
Mr. Tolmy?
Yes.
Mr. Patzer?
Sure.
Ms. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mr. Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
11 yeas, no nays.
G 12.1 carries. We'll now go to G 13, Mr. Bruson.
So this is another amendment to ensure consistency with the Nova Scotia part of this bill. And so it is by inserting language into 138.019 about by the agency or committee, and then in the section of within the period specified by the agency or committee under section 100. So it's really just inserting those words to make it consistent with the Nova Scotia Act.
Okay, we'll now proceed to the vote. Shall G13 carry? Call the roll.
Mr. Aldag? Yes. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Yes.
Mr. Drushin?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
G13 carries. We'll now go to BQ 18. Monsieur Samar.
Encore une fois.
Yes, once again, to be coherent with the witnesses who appeared before us with the Environment and Oceanmore Ecology Action Center and with the testimony we heard. And under the old system, it was necessary that each project have a specific evaluation. So the current regional examination, but that is not sufficient. So we are suggesting that in 138.0201 for greater certainty, the regulator conducts regional assessments and strategic environmental assessments under this section independently from regional assessments and strategic assessments conducted under the Impact Assessment Act.
Très bien. Monsieur Sabara. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et merci encore une fois à Monsieur Simard. Je vais m'opposer à cette motion parce que cet amendement serait redondant. C'est déjà très clair dans le projet de loi. On aurait la régie n'aurait que l'autorisation de faire les évaluations prévues selon la loi sur l'évaluation d'impact. Il n'y a pas pour l'instant de dispositions qui permettent aux provinces de mener des évaluations. Donc, je m'oppose à cette motion. Donc, le BQ18 est-il adopté?
Mr. Baptiste?
No.
Madame Lapointe?
Non.
Mr. Sabara?
No.
Mr. Drushin?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
No.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
Oui.
Mr. Angus?
No.
1 yea, 10 nays.
BQ 18 is defeated. We'll now proceed to shall clause 62 carry as amended? Yes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste?
Yes.
Madame Lapointe?
Oui.
Mr. Sabara?
Oui.
Mr. Drushin?
No.
Mr. Tolman?
No.
Mr. Patzer?
Nope.
Ms. Stubbs?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Clause 62 is carried as amended. Thank you, colleagues, for the great day of work today at committee. If it's the will of the committee to adjourn, it is. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great 2 weeks.